Welcome, curious minds, to another deep dive. Today, we're plunging into, well, a really fascinating collection of insights about something fundamental. How we, as humans, genuinely flourish. You've given us quite a stack of wisdom, everything from ancient philosophy right through to modern sports psychology. And our mission today is to pull out the most powerful nuggets to help you unlock potential, your own, and maybe that of the people around you, too.
It really is a compelling journey
Yeah.
because these sources, they come from such different places, different times, but they seem to converge on this powerful truth, one we often overlook, I think. They really challenge that common idea that success is purely an individual thing. Instead, they show us just how deeply our environment, our mindset, even how integrated our heart and mind are, how much that shapes everything. So we're going to unpack why where you start isn't always where you finish, and why sometimes, maybe like an elite athlete, you might need a whole system change to really shine.
Okay, let's dive into that core idea first then. The absolute power. The undeniable power, really, of the environment. Our sources kick things off with a pretty striking observation from Malcolm Gladwell about NBA players. It's quite telling.
It is. What's truly fascinating there is that even these athletes, objectively talented million-dollar stars, sometimes they bounce around. Maybe two or three teams having really disappointing seasons. They're clearly gifted, right? But something's just not clicking. Then maybe a new head coach comes in, or the team chemistry shifts, or they just get the right support system. And suddenly, bam, they thrive. It's not like they suddenly got talented overnight. No, their dormant abilities, the potential that was already there, it was finally unlocked by the right conditions.
Right.
It really challenges that idea that talent alone is enough. It's more about the dynamic, the interaction between the person and their surroundings that seems to create high performance.
Yeah, and it's almost uncomfortable, isn't it, to realize how often we might be blaming the seed when actually the soil is the problem. I mean, if even these elite athletes, the absolute best of the best, need the right environment, how can we possibly expect kids to succeed in just any old classroom we drop them into?
Ah.
The material we looked at really highlights how quick we are to write children off. Oh, she's not good at math, or you have trouble focusing, just a so-so student. We even do it to ourselves sometimes, I think, but the environment, it seems like it's everything. The right supporting cast, the timing, it's all crucial. It kind of shifts the focus, maybe not blame exactly, but shifts the focus from the person to the system they're in.
Mm-hmm. And that raises a really important question. What kind of environments are we actually creating? And maybe more critically, how do we respond when struggle inevitably shows up? Because it always does. The guidance we found on effective correction is a perfect example of this in action. Our sources advise quite specifically to call the individual by name, then say no, but with a low corrective tone, and then save a high praising tone for the positive feedback. It's all about creating a safe, emotional climate for learning. Nagging or harsh criticism, well, it essentially poisons that environment.
Right. It kills the potential for growth.
Exactly. And think about the deeper psychology there. It's signaling that the behavior is the issue, not the person's inherent worth, that distinction. It's crucial for maintaining psychological safety. It keeps the brain's learning pathways open. Otherwise, you trigger that defensive fight or flight thing, and that just shuts down growth.
So bringing this powerful concept home for you listening, the metaphor of the gardener becomes really instructive. You wouldn't expect a beautiful flower from a seed planted in poor soil, right? Nutrient-deficient soil. It seems the same goes for human potential. And this challenges us to move beyond just observing. It's about actively designing our environments, even the microenvironments, like your morning routine, your workspace, maybe how you run team meetings. Are they priming for flourishing? Our sources seem to imply that even small rituals, if you apply them consistently, can shift the soil quite dramatically. They can either foster potential or, well, inadvertently inhibit it.
And that leads us directly into the second big theme. The absolute necessity of patient long-term investment in human development. The sources highlight how successful NBA teams, when they're faced with a struggling player, someone they see as a valuable asset, they don't just despair or trade them immediately. No, they invest more. They don't blame the star. They look at the system and try to fix it.
Yeah.
And the fans, remarkably, often cheer them on. They understand, which reflects, I think, a deep understanding that potential isn't always obvious right away. It needs time to develop.
That is such a counterintuitive idea in our world today, isn't it? This quick fix world. We expect results instantly. But human development, it just operates on completely different timescales.
Right.
It's like trying to ripen an avocado in 5 minutes. Just doesn't work like that. A child who struggles with reading in first grade might not really take off until fourth grade. And it's not because they suddenly got smarter. It might be their brain reached a new developmental stage, maybe strengthening specific neural pathways needed for reading. Or maybe they finally found a teacher whose methods just clicked with their particular learning style. The material really emphasizes this patient investment idea. It challenges our culture's preference for instant gratification.
It really does challenge us to shift our whole mindset. Underperformance isn't necessarily a sign of some inherent limitation. Often it's just valuable information. Information about an environmental misalignment. Something's not quite right. And this wisdom echoes from people like Zig Ziglar, who reminds us, it's not where you start, but where you finish that counts. Or even going way back, Proverb 3.13, blessed is the one who finds wisdom and gets understanding. These insights, they remind us that early performance just isn't the ultimate measure of potential. Breakthroughs often come after months or even years of sort of invisible preparation. We absolutely need to maintain faith in that capacity for growth, even when we can't see it right away.
So for you, the learner, this is such a powerful reminder not to give up. Not on yourself and not on others either. What these insights seem to reveal, collectively, is that maybe our struggles aren't failures at all. Maybe they're crucial periods for building what you might call mental muscles. Hey, every time you push through something difficult, you're strengthening your capacity to face bigger challenges down the road. Remember that Walter Bagehot quote, "The great pleasure in life is doing what people say you cannot do." So be patient with your own growth. Trust the process. Know that what looks like stagnation might actually be a crucial period of unseen development. Okay, I appreciate the insight on patience. But, many successful people talk about relentless effort, pushing through discomfort now. How do our sources reconcile that with this idea of waiting for breakthroughs? Does that make sense?
That's a really sharp question. Yeah, it gets right to the heart of what genuine development means. The sources aren't suggesting passivity at all, far from it. Relentless effort is crucial, but it's about intentional effort within the right framework. See, you can apply relentless effort to a broken system and you'll just burn yourself out. The patience comes in understanding that the results of that effort might not be immediate. They might not be linear. Think of a farmer. They work tirelessly to prepare the soil, plant the seed. That's the effort. But they don't keep digging it up every day to see if it's growing yet. That's the patience. The effort is in the preparation and the consistent care. The patience is in trusting the natural process of growth. So it's not really a contradiction, more like two sides of the same coin, intentional development.
That distinction makes perfect sense.
Okay.
So, moving beyond the external environment and that crucial element of patience, our sources also reveal an equally vital internal factor for flourishing. And that's the deep integration of who we are, our intellectual, our emotional, even our spiritual selves. Aristotle famously said, educating the mind without educating the heart is no education at all.
Exactly. And this concept of wholeness, or what the ancients often called integrity, it's vital. Seneca talks about this. He warns against taking on a task with a lazy and begrudging spirit, or being torn apart by wildly divergent impulses. When our values, our thoughts, and our actions are truly aligned, that's where genuine power comes from. Deep satisfaction, too. Think about leaders, for example. They show much greater consistency, greater effectiveness when their heart and mind are integrated. They're not just technically confident, they operate with a deeper sense of purpose, of authenticity. This kind of harmony, as our sources suggest, seems absolutely essential for sustained high performance and, frankly, personal satisfaction.
And connected right to that integration is the idea of quality of engagement over sheer quantity of effort. Steve Jobs, thinking about Apple's incredible rise, he emphasized this. He said, quality is much better than quantity. One home run is much better than two doubles. That really challenges our modern obsession with just being busy, with multitasking all the time. It suggests true excellence comes from focused, intentional commitment. So if we are truly integrating heart and mind, does that just naturally lead to this higher quality engagement? Or is it something we still have to actively cultivate?
Well, it's a bit of both, actually. The integration of heart and mind, it fuels that higher quality engagement because you're showing up as a whole person. You're invested in the purpose. But you also have to actively choose that quality, which raises another important question. When you start something and you feel lazy or irritated, have you actually asked yourself why you're doing it? Really, why? Our sources remind us, don't be that person who says yes with their mouth but no with their actions. That internal misalignment, that's exactly what Seneca was warning about. Simon Sinek notes, aptly I think, that genius is in the idea, impact comes from action.
Yeah.
Okay, fine. But that action needs full integrated engagement to have real impact. You can choose, as one source put it, to play frustrated and afraid or engaged unafraid. The quality of your internal state, it profoundly impacts the outcome of your efforts.
So for you listening, this means bringing your full attention,
your authentic commitment to what you choose to pursue. This isn't just about doing less, maybe. It's more about the intentionality behind each commitment you make. Our sources imply that truly integrated, focused action creates a kind of leverage, where one wholehearted effort can yield maybe exponentially greater returns than just a series of scattered, half-hearted attempts. It's about, as our sources suggest, putting a big value on yourself and then adding value to those around you. Visualizing what we can be is much more important than focusing on current limits. That's a powerful thought. Focus your energy. One well-executed effort can achieve far more than many half-hearted ones. Okay, so this whole deep dive seems to synthesize into this really powerful philosophy. We are essentially gardeners of human potential. It's all about creating the right conditions. But how do we translate that into concrete actions, systemic actions even, beyond just individual mindset shifts?
Exactly. And this isn't just about mindset, you're right. It means actively designing systems in our lives, in our organizations. First, we have to become students of the environments we create. Really study them, whether that's for our kids or teams or colleagues, or even just for ourselves. What are the emotional conditions, the psychological, even the spiritual conditions we're establishing? Do they naturally promote growth, or do they maybe inadvertently inhibit it? This requires some deep, maybe uncomfortable self-reflection. Looking at our immediate surroundings or interactions, understanding that these environments aren't static, they're dynamic, they respond to our actions. For instance, maybe ask yourself, what feedback loops can you create, formal or informal, just to make sure you're getting objective information about the soil you're cultivating.
And building on that second, cultivate patience, but do it with intention. As you said earlier, human growth just isn't linear. We know this. There are seasons of fast progress and then seasons of what looks like stagnation. Breakthroughs often emerge from months, maybe years, of that invisible preparation we talked about. So trust the deeper processes, even when the surface evidence is discouraging. This means resisting that urge for the quick fix, and instead having a kind of confident expectation based on how human development actually works, like a gardener trusts the seed will eventually sprout. Maybe ask, how can you build in some buffer time? Or dedicated learning days into your schedule, just to practice this patience. Allow for that unseen development instead of just rushing to the next task.
And finally, embrace amor fati. It's a Stoic concept, literally translates to love your fate. Now, this doesn't mean passively accepting bad conditions, not at all. It means actively engaging with the work of creating environments where authentic flourishing becomes possible. And importantly, this applies to your own internal environment too. How do you talk to yourself when you make mistakes? Do you foster self-growth? Or do you fall into self-criticism? Because that internal self-talk, it creates an environment within you that either empowers your potential or, well, disempowers it. It's about accepting the whole process of growth, the struggles, the waiting, understanding that everything contributes to your unique path.
Our sources frame this beautifully, I think, as your important job. To be someone who helps create the conditions where everyone around you can discover and develop their own special talents. And this means being encouraging, being patient, speaking up for someone who needs support, sometimes just simply believing in people, especially when they're struggling to believe in themselves. It's about understanding that maybe our highest calling isn't just achieving our own potential, but fostering potential in others. And that feels like a profoundly systemic approach to human flourishing.
So after diving deep into all these diverse wisdom traditions, what we see is that human flourishing, it isn't just about individual talent. It's not about isolated effort. It's a profound interplay, a dance between the environments we cultivate, the patience we extend, and the integration of our whole selves in our actions. It's a truly holistic view, seeing every person as this unique ecosystem capable of incredible growth.
Yeah, it's about recognizing that every single person, and that includes you listening, is like that talented basketball player, that beautiful seed, full of potential, just waiting for the right conditions to truly shine. Your struggles aren't necessarily an endpoint. They could be crucial information guiding you toward creating those optimal conditions.
So for you, our listener, maybe here's a thought to carry forward. In what area of your life, maybe starting today, can you become a more intentional gardener? Really tending to the environment, practicing that active patience, fostering true integration to unlock not just your own potential, but maybe the potential of those you influence too. Just consider, where can you shift from maybe blaming the seed to actively nurturing the soil?
We really hope this deep dive has given you a shortcut to being well-informed and hopefully inspired. Until next time, keep exploring, keep growing, and keep creating those conditions for flourishing.